Here we go. So, what is clarity? Let's break this down. Especially show for many of you who told us you wanted to see a show like this one. So here we go. What is clarity out of the three C's?
Yeah, so clarity for me, it's clarity, but clarity at a mature level. So that's wisdom, right? So clarity at a mature level is the profound ability to perceive situations, decisions, and personal aspirations with exceptional precision and depth. I have to emphasize with exceptional precision and depth. So it encompasses a heightened awareness and understanding that transcends the basic comprehension. You can know, but you may not be aware or you may not understand. So, again, it encompasses a heightened awareness and understanding that transcends basic comprehension. So it allows for leaders I work with, for strategic foresight and effective problem solving. The key aspects to clarity are, having deep insights, having strategic vision, holistic understanding, focused decision making. Again, I emphasize the precision and depth, and adaptive thinking.
When it comes to awareness and understanding, that can vary for each person. Um,
Yes.
can somebody kind of improve on those two areas, understanding and awareness?
Definitely, most definitely. So in my coaching with leaders, I always begin with first of all, breaking getting to a vulnerable state where I am now ready to be more aware. So you might have, you know yourself, there's the saying, know thyself. So I always start with, let's get to know yourself first so you can build a working relationship with yourself before you understand how to work with others. So I use the Clifton Strengths. One of the tools that I use is a Clifton Strengths by Dr. Don Clifton. I use that tool to eliminate bias from the leaders I coach and myself in how I'm coaching them, and get into not just the areas of strengths, but really the understanding, the awareness and understanding of how our blind spots. Do you know that even your strengths have blind spots? So when you are in the area of the blind spots of your strengths, that's unproductive for you and for others. And so having that understanding, talking through it, will help you heighten your awareness and your understanding and having more clarity.
Most of the time, a person can be in a habit of understanding and being aware of certain things, and they don't go beyond that. You're saying that a person needs to become vulnerable, then, if I'm understanding you correctly, to see their blind spots.
Yeah, because when you're not in the state where you can receive, so vulnerability is you are able to be open and open more to receive before you can give. So, you need to be in that state for you to be able to receive, process it, and then you get to that. That's why I say understanding that transcends basic comprehension. You can read it from any self-help books, any, listen to any podcast, but until you transcend your own understanding about yourself, with vulnerability, you cannot reach that high mature level of clarity.
So a person could end up watching a ton of videos, joining some type of conference and networking and do a number of things. But if they don't open themselves up to what their vulnerabilities are, they're really just going through the motions and sometimes can feel stuck and even lonely at the top.
Oh, yes, definitely. Because there are so many things, especially when you mention at the top for leaders. you know, they need to do all of this decision making, strategic foresight, you know, problem solving. But we're just humans, so we still have our insecurities, our fear. You know, there are things we don't know, but then we think, hey, I need to show that I know because I'm a leader. So all of that can come in the way of you opening yourself up to really understand. So until you say, well, I'm ready to accept here, I'm ready to accept my, not just my, I know my strengths, but most of the time it's my weaknesses, or areas of blind spot. You know, if you cannot go there, then you cannot achieve getting clarity and moving forward.
And when a person moves forward, let's put up the next tile. Then we need to delve into what is confidence, because you have the three C's, the first one being clarity, this one being confidence. If I'll use myself, if I don't recognize some areas of weakness, as it were, or vulnerability, I'm not in a good position to receive. I'm kind of blocking the way of having some strong, consistent confidence.
Exactly. Exactly. So confidence is your self-esteem, right? So it's the key aspects to confidence are self-belief, trust in your own abilities and judgments, self-worth, recognition of your own value and your potential, assurance, there's the certainty in your decisions and actions, right? So confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, some information, or including yourself. So it involves a sense of self assurance, self worth, which empowers us to take action and pursue our goals now without the undue fear of failure. So, you know, with clarity feeds into our confidence. It gives us more, assurance, to more certainty when you are especially when you're trying to make decisions, you know, in a leader's role at daily, in and out, you have to make decisions for the company, decisions for your people, decisions for yourself and for your clients, your stakeholders, your investors. So yeah, you need clarity and confidence.
Well, these are really great foundations for people to have, no matter what their task is in a corporation, in a business, or their own business. But they're really great points for someone living day to day. Correct? Wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes. Even for a child, given the clarity, you see some children right now. If you have kids, you people out there, if you have kids, you see how your kids actually, when you tell them to do something, they want the reason. Why? Why do I have to do it this way? So even for kids, they need that clarity to take action.
That's pretty good. I didn't even think of that. That was pretty good. Next one here is, what is courage? So we've got the first two: clarity, confidence. What is courage when it comes to these three C's? How does it tie in?
Yeah, so you can have clarity and not have so much confidence. So, or if you have clarity, not so much confidence, and no courage, then it's just clarity. You may not move forward to take action. But when you have clarity that fits into your confidence, now you say you know and you're certain. So certain. So, but some people without courage, you cannot still take action. You know, you cannot have that tough conversations with your people. You will not try something new. You know, you go to a conference, like you say, Paxton, you go to a conference and somebody out there who's sharing his success story and he's telling you, I did this. Now you go back home, you say, I have clarity now that, you know, this person just confirmed what I think is true, or you know, that I can work with, and then I now have more confidence from that clarity. But I'm still stuck. I still don't know. There's a lot of like, I don't know if I really want it. How do I do it? Maybe you know the how, but there's still something holding you back. And you know, courage is the ability to confront yourself, confront fear, confront pain, danger, uncertainty, or even intimidation. Now, there are some leaders out there who are intimidated by their own people, the people they're leading. So, courage involves taking bold actions and making tough decisions. Now, even when the outcomes are uncertain or the risk is high. So, the key aspects to courage are bravery, the willingness to face difficult situations head on, even yourself, overcoming your own your own biases, your cognitive limitations, right? Most of the time it's the cognitive limitation that holds you back from you taking action. So it also requires assertiveness, abilities to stand up for yourself and for your people. If you're a leader, how do you stand up for your people when it's needed, when your clients are asking for too much, or when your clients are actually bullying your people? So that's when, that's why for some leaders, when you show the confidence and the courage in your assertiveness, it's inspiring to your people. And then there's also the aspects of resilience, the capacity to recover from setbacks and continue moving forward. I think in this resilience and courage, we have seen this. Maybe we have not talked about it. There are many who have talked about it, but we ourselves really being vulnerable to be open to talk about how we've been resilient over the past years, these last couple of years since COVID.
That's really good. You got me there. That was one I didn't expect you to say. That interests me to do that. We'll plan that for another time. We're going to do some more shows together. That was really good what you explained. There's so many that can benefit from that. I'm gonna always throw a curveball to you every night. So don't be too scared now. Don't be too scared. Okay, so just out of curiosity, I'm gonna say something that I saw on your LinkedIn page. Here's the question. This is your question on your page on LinkedIn. What would you do if you weren't afraid to fail? That's a question that you have. What's up with that question? Give us some insight why you put it there and explain it.
Yeah, actually, there are, just from the amount of work I've done with a lot of leaders, a lot of people, and even their teams, the teams I've worked with, and through many conversations when leaders and team members who are vulnerable, right? What we always discover is there is this fear in every one of us. So some of us may have big dreams, but we still haven't do it, and we get very frustrated with ourselves and we get demotivated, or you just lose energy, just thinking about how you really want to do this or go for this, because it's your big dream, but you still not taking action to do it. And there's a lot of this underlying fear. So if you talk about insecurity, that's fear. If you talk about feeling anxious, that's coming from fear. So a lot of things come from fear. And so when you have fear, you start to assume the worst, you imagine the worst. Now that takes you away completely from all the possibilities. Instead of that, you could actually, if you remove your fear, you could think strategically, you could think more objectively. What are the steps to get there? What are the tools I need? Who are the people who can support me and I can reach out to? So when you get out of that, you open yourself to so many possibilities.
The fear in itself can block any creativity or any contentment from what you're saying. It can literally get in the way of being creative to look at a situation. But this is what happens to leaders sometimes, as well as those who are maybe not a leader of a corporation, but just within their own family or through relationships that they have. Being afraid to fail can cause them to lose sight of the good things that could come.
Yeah. And there are so many many things that um affects, or I mean influence, right? Fear. It's the fear of being judged. So it's the social norm, what what people would think of you, what would my parents think of me, what would my friends think of me, because you've experienced people laughing at you, you've experienced shame. There are some who actually the fear comes from perfectionism. If I cannot do this perfectly, then I will fail, so I will not even try. And then there are the fear that comes with low self-esteem. So maybe the imposter syndrome, because you've always been told you cannot do it, so or your dreams are just too big to be achieved. Yeah, and so there's the cultural norms, the social comparison, especially now with all the influence and the noise out there with social media. So yeah, that feeds into all the fear.
Okay, so you've laid out a great deal of information that can be very beneficial. I told you I was going to have a few surprises for you. Before I get to that, I have to say you have an amazing following on LinkedIn. And what I didn't touch on, I really appreciate when we got to work together. I don't know, it was a couple of years ago. I can't even remember now.
Yes.
Been able to You've been able, excuse me, let me rephrase this. You've been able to have a number of things happen since we did a show together.
Yeah.
And you're in a different space, time, and continuum, and all those other things. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank
You
you.
endured a lot of troublesome times, and you've been able to put these 3 C's to work for yourself and for others. So just I'm maneuvering a few things around here. Just give me just a second. So I can't believe it. We both are here knowing that we both don't feel well. I really appreciate you doing this. Hold on one second. We're going to do that. And I'm going to do this thing right here. Super doing this in real time, everybody. Here we go, everybody. Okay, so few surprises for you. My little index cards, my friends that I have different things on here. So I have one thing. We kind of touched on it before we started, and I just want to go down this road one more time. Individuals who are entrepreneurs, maybe they head up a team or whatever the case may be, it can be lonely for them at the top. Your recommendation to them, man, I sound like a frog and I can't think right now. So any tips that you could pass on to somebody that feels that they're lonely at the top and they have such heavy responsibility? What do you say?
Find someone you trust, you can talk to. Conversations, dialogue really help. And here's talking about fear. People shy away from getting a coach, getting a counselor, or just talking to somebody like a best friend you actually can trust to talk about all your fears and your insecurities and everything that keeps you lonely at the top. So there's nothing more therapeutic than when you're feeling that, really just to talk to somebody you trust.
Yeah, the shame and the guilt of maybe feeling imposter syndrome or other things can start to creep in, but they need to fight that, right? And try to talk to
Oh,
somebody.
I forgot ego. I
Okay.
have met a lot of leaders, and they're sitting there with their ego. So, so some of them are really tough, but I get to. You got to get out of
Yeah, you're a little tough too, so I can understand.
that.
You just trying to be nice because we're on the air right now. But yeah, I was gonna say, but you would call them out. I know you would. Okay, so here we go. Narcissistic abuse warrior is one of the things mentioned in your bio. We're not going to rehash what we did on a previous show, but I am going to ask you this question. When it comes to being a warrior, how would you describe a warrior?
Courage. For me, if you're talking about what I have gone through and what I've
Yeah.
overcome,
Yeah.
I had clarity. And I told you this before when you touch on narcissistic abuse. I want to give a call out, a shout out to Dr. Ramani. Dr. Ramani, her expertise in narcissism, that feeds my clarity. That gave me a lot of clarity for
Hmm.
what, my self esteem, my everything was, my experience,
Hmm.
going through that. And so I was so informed by Dr. Sam Vegnin, Dr. Ramani, and so I got clarity. And then that feeds into my confidence. I talk to counselors and all, and then that feeds into my confidence. But then there are some people who would never leave a narcissistic, abusive relationship. They will never leave because the trauma bond or the children and all that, right? In relationships. But for me it was the clarity and the confidence. But for me to say I don't want this is my self-awareness. I know this is not good for me. And also the courage. If I didn't have courage, I would not have left the house, and I would have be very fearful of having no place to stay, literally homeless. Um, but yeah, it was clarity, confidence, and courage, and these three C's together gives you empowerment. So I had from these three C's that I work on, empowerment. So a lot of this is interesting. A lot of people think that coaches, they know how to do it, they know how to figure things out, and their life is perfect. I've spoken to a doctor recently I coach. And she's like, "Oh, I thought coaches, they know it all and they have it all, straight." And I was like, "No, I have gone through this. This is life." So she was surprised. But I said, I have the right tools. I
Yeah.
know
Right.
from my job that you need clarity, that you need that wisdom. You need to be informed. Don't be ignorant. Remove your ego, and then that gives you the confidence. But to take action, you need to be able to have the courage to face your own self in situations like narcissistic abuse. You need to have the courage to face yourself first, and then you're empowered.
How can a person uh, remove their ego?
First of all, very easy. If you're getting a lot of feedback from people, that's probably true about you. It's so easy, you know
I'm sorry, that is like so simple. It's like if
right?
everybody's telling you, there's a pretty good chance you need to investigate what they're telling
Yeah, instead of fighting,
you.
instead of being defensive, I do a lot of reflection. So if people give you feedback, reflect on that.
I'm sorry,
It's
that's funny.
not
Yeah, it's not
it
hard.
does not put you
Uh,
lower. It does not make you worse than, some people are, they want to have always this consistent good impression of themselves in people's minds,
yeah,
but it does not make you any smaller or put you lower than your people if you're a leader. If you ask just ask, how can I improve, what can I do better, and that's actually very empowering.
yeah, that's hard for some people, right? I mean, you work
I
you work
know.
with you work with people that make a lot of money or whatever the case may be. They're experienced at what they do, but just day to day, it is hard for people to literally say, "Hey, you know what? I just need some feedback. How do you think I'm handling this situation, or how do you think I'm doing this?" That can be very challenging for some, but that, according to what you're saying, that's a lifeline to success if they just go and ask.
Oh, yes. I always appreciate. So, I appreciate criticism. I
Mm,
appreciate feedback. My family give it so generously to me when I'm,
yeah.
a pain to them. But that I take all of that. I thank them. I mean, I I value praises and compliments, but if I'm reflecting, how can I improve? the praises and compliments don't really help me.
Very, very good. Yeah. Because they're going
You
to highlight
know,
something you've already achieved, but
yeah.
there are pockets of improvement for all of us that can really make us balanced across the board. And being balanced is a challenge for all of us, but especially for someone who is taking the lead.
Yeah, and always the way forward is accountability to take action, right? So um I'm always thinking in the process in coaching and all,
Mhm.
even with myself, I always think how. I know the why. People are telling me the why. I
Mhm.
think how. So with the information from the feedback that I get from people, how do I use that feedback to
Mhm.
think how? So I don't fight with my own ego and my own self-esteem, my own, that's how you get a lot of noise. And people usually at the top, they cannot sleep. I coach a lot of CEOs and they actually tell me they're on sleeping pills. They cannot sleep because they have a lot of noise in their head. But if you actually can find the how, you get to clarity, and then you have the confidence. I bet you can sleep better.
If you find the how, you can sleep better. The why is easy to come to in many cases, which you just said.
Yeah, yeah,
But
the why, the what.
the how can keep you up at night.
Yeah, because they're like, well, some people are still in the why did she say that
Yeah,
about
yeah,
me?
yeah,
you
right, yeah,
know
yeah,
Come on, snap out of that and
yeah,
think the how.
yeah.
um yeah, and sometimes it's a corrective way forward is to correct things, but sometimes it's just to
Mm.
clarify with the other person and say, hey, I actually didn't mean that. It wasn't my intention to say that to hurt you. Yeah, so think about the how. So I always in my coaching take my clients from the self-awareness, know thyself, have good relationship with yourself first. Know how you
Yeah.
process things, know what triggers your emotion, and how you manage. I have recently spoken to a few directors who have temperament issues. They're not able to manage their temper
Hmm.
because the team members, these days teams are very diverse. You have the Gen Z, the millennials, and the baby boomers working together. So yeah, those dynamics. It can, and also the demand of the business, how business are moving real fast, real time, real fast. So that can drive you crazy. So leaders have issues with their tempers.
Without a doubt, I could see that being the case. This can, again, I'm going to go back to something I touched on earlier. This can easily be something if a person wants to apply this to their day-to-day living, if they're not in charge of a corporation, but in charge of, as it were, their family corporation, their business. Their family is their business. If you take the team out and stick children in, or their spouse, or whatever it may be, all of these tools can be beneficial, but especially so if a person is an entrepreneur or seeking to do that, or seeking to get a promotion. Wouldn't you say this is information beneficial for them?
Oh yeah, especially if you're trying to get, I mean, if you're a new leader, you aspire to be a new leader also. It's best to start from there. A lot of leaders these days that I've been assigned to coach, they're made leaders without the experience of managing people. So they're really skillful, they're probably from Harvard, but they've never really had to manage relationships like
Mhm.
in a
Mhm.
work environment. So if you're aspiring to be new leader, you should start now.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a very good point you're highlighting there. It can be a challenge for anybody, really, if they may understand the task, they may understand the why of the task, but they don't understand themselves and the way they interact with people.
Yeah.
And as you say, manage people uh, to success, manage the team so that the team is successful. And they have a hard time dealing with their children. They have a hard time dealing, as I said earlier, a spouse or someone, their in-laws, because they've never really looked at how they manage people, and it's always pointing the finger at someone else is the problem.
Because that's easier.
Much easier. Yeah, I can see what you're saying here.
When you're taking the ownership of you responsible for someone else's feelings, and their well-being, if you're a parent, then it's a huge burden. You feel very heavy here, in your heart, in your mind. So it's easier to just point the finger at the other person. So
yeah, and that usually ends up getting a person nowhere, because once that person's gone, they do it to another person, and they just keep having this lifestyle of pointing at other people. But I like what you said, being able to look at their relationship with themselves. Very, very important. Okay, here we go. Last one. That may not be true, but last one for you. One more card here. Okay, so here we go. Narcissistic abuse affected your life. What did you learn about yourself by surviving narcissistic abuse and becoming a warrior?
Oh, boundaries. Right. So I have high self-esteem. I have the confidence because, clarity. I have been working on myself since I learned about myself, from when I was at Gallup, through the CliftonStrengths tool, and being developed by great people around me, not just my great manager, Meliani Wu, but also my team members who are very transparent. We give feedback to help one another grow. But so I practice finding that clarity and confidence, always reflecting. But what I found was, my learning was, I didn't, and this is a job hazard. Like, I always tell myself I cannot, in our work, as coaches and counselors, we cannot judge. You have to remove bias. And so sometimes you become understanding, and then you also play with the empathy. And because of that, you might tend to give too much in any ways. And then so you forgot the boundaries. So that's what I learned about myself, boundaries. So when things were not working for me, I was like, hey, this is disrespectful. But my reflection, this is disrespectful. This is not love. But my reflection was, because I did not set that boundaries for myself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so when it comes to business or dealing with a relationship, a family relationship, love interest, whatever it may be, boundaries, they set in motion what for you? What for someone else? Let's take you out of the picture. What does it set in motion for people when they have boundaries?
I mentioned respect. When you have boundaries, you're projecting your self-respect. You respect yourself, but also because you respect yourself, you respect the other person, and you demand respect from the other person. And I can use example going back to myself. Here's the thing: I set boundaries better at work in my career
I had a
than
feeling you
in
were going to say
personal.
it. I had a feeling you were going
Right
to say it. Yeah, I get you.
now,
Yeah.
in personal relationships, because the emotions are higher. So especially if you're in love, or if you were dealing with a narcissist, the love bombing, the gaslighting, all of that clouds the clarity.
Yeah.
It makes all the clarity blur, because this love thing. And that's why I learned from Dr. Ramani, the love bombing and the gaslighting, it's not love. So
Yeah.
then that actually make you put your guards down, and you not really have to mindfully and consciously set your boundaries, because you put your guards down. But it's dangerous when it's with people who are narcissistic.
So, okay, you're making me think. We're gonna end the show in a little bit here, because we're gonna save my voice and your energy based on what we talked about before the show. But I got to do this here. I'm gonna put this up on the screen. It says the 3 C's. So now we talked business, and a number of people wanted to see more of that on our channel, and I'm glad you came on to do this. The 3 C's, love bombing you just mentioned, and gaslighting. They get in the way of clarity. That's the number one thing in your 3 C's. So if that is covered in a fog of stupidity from a toxic person, then the other 2 things, which is confidence and courage, there's no way a person can really tap into those other 2. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right. Because I had clarity, I was able to pinpoint consistently and not get gaslighted anymore. I was like, this is what happened. Here's what you said. Here's what you said yesterday, and here's what you said today. So I got to, when I get that awakening from Dr. Ramani and say, hey, no, don't question yourself, because it makes you, I almost feel like, am I having bipolar symptoms?
What is wrong with me all of a sudden? You're like, no, you're not the problem. They're doing stuff to create a problem, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's why Dr. Ramani, now I appreciate her book, It's Not You, because when you go through that, it clouds your clarity. And so when you want to have the confidence to stay in the relationship or try to resolve things together or move out of the relationship, with clarity, you get that confidence and courage. But without that, even with confidence and courage, these gaslight and this love bomb will reel you back in.
Got it. Totally got it. I appreciate it a great deal. We better stop for our health, you and I, though we could keep talking. We are going to do more and bring you back again and do some other things. I really appreciate you doing this. There was no way I was going to cancel this show today. And then you told me you weren't feeling well. And then all of a sudden, my daughter said, oh, well, we shouldn't have done it because we both are sick. But I enjoyed this. I really appreciate it. I did a show yesterday and I did a show today. Both of them, great people. I look forward to both of you one day being on together. I had Mandy, an executive coach, yesterday, and you. And to all of you who are looking to get, I told you this before, to get more executive coaches and leadership coaches on, we are going to do that for you. We have not ignored your requests. That's something we can make happen. And I appreciate you doing this today. Any words of advice on the way out that you would like to share with the audience? Anything offhand that you want to say?
If you already have the clarity and confidence, you just need a little bit of courage, and some risk is worth.
There you go. I appreciate it a great deal. I'm going to say bye to you now, and I'm going to play some music on the way out for everybody. Thank you, everybody. But before we go, I have to go back to the comment section here. Hold on a second here. Just hang in there. I'm a little slower than normal, but hang in there. I got to put 2 things up. While you were talking, we got that. Got to do this. That's for Eric. Eric, thank you, Eric, for your comment. He said, moral courage is rarer a commodity than bravery in battle. And then he had this for you there. Asking is the gateway to wisdom. That is true. He agreed with you on that. And thank you, Eric, for being here, my friend. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for being here, catching us both at a very rare time. We both were not feeling well and under the weather, but we will get back with you again. And hopefully one of these days we'll have some other events that we can do together as well. I'm going to wave to you now and take you off the screen.
Thank you.
Hey, I got to put this up for you. Look what he says. Eric says something to you there. Get some rest.
Oh, thank you, Eric. We need a lot of empathy everywhere.
Everywhere on the planet, right? Everywhere on the planet. Thank you very much. I'll see you and talk to you again, my friend. Thank you, Dalia.
You have a good rest.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. I'm going to take just a moment, and then we're going to be done. I just want to say to everybody, there are some more shows coming your way in August. We're going to rest up our voice and a number of other things. Appreciate Dalia being here. It was a true pleasure and a treat. I keep saying because my voice is going to come back at some point. I think it is. I'm not sure. Anyway, I love you guys. See you later. Have a good weekend. Yeah, because we're not doing nothing tomorrow. We're staying in bed. See? More comments? What we got? Eric? Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate you doing that. All right, everybody. Stay out of trouble. Remember the 3 C's. Please remember the 3 C's that Dalia just talked about. And we're going to be back, and we're going to be fit as a fiddle. We're going to give you some more content and information right here on NATV Network.